Good morning, everybody. It's me again, Maritza. I am posting today because I wanted to explain a few things that I have explained in my previous videos, but I wanted to kind of give everybody a refresher. Now, I posted a video yesterday, and I had a response by a person who was interested in knowing about the medications that I had to switch. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that I was diagnosed with kidney failure at the age of 17. When the doctors did a biopsy on my original kidneys, they were too damaged to really have a definitive determination of what caused them to actually get damaged and fail. So my personal hypothesis would be that it may have been due to me being anorexic for a few months in high school. I was always an overweight child. Growing up, my family's Puerto Rican, so all we do is eat really bad, unhealthy, fattening foods. So yeah, as I got older, as I hit puberty, as I kept eating really bad and following in my parents' steps, I was gaining weight. I mean, by the time I was in middle school, I was over 100 pounds. I was about 127 or so in junior high school. I would say that was 5th or 6th grade. So by the time I entered high school, I was pretty much fed up with being overweight. I was made fun of in middle school. I was bullied for being overweight. And so in high school, I put my forth effort to actually try and lose weight, and it was working. Honestly, eating less was working. And I guess I got so obsessive with eating less that it was to the point that I was barely eating and I was exercising, because in high school, you have this program where you can actually exercise. It's a class. And I had that. It was called wellness. I don't know if that's for everybody, but with this wellness class, I was able to exercise, to do a bunch of ab work, bunch of leg work, lift weights, everything. And I learned so much from the professor I had. Her name was Coach Stahl, and she was phenomenal. I will never forget her in my entire life. But I can remember that in junior high school, okay, I think it was 11th grade. By 11th grade, I was already getting super, super skinny, and she had taken me to the nurse's office because she was really concerned about my drastic weight loss. And I don't really recall exactly what happened after that. And so, don't mind the push pop. All right, you need to sit down and, okay. All right, so yeah, she took me to the nurse. I just don't really recall exactly what progressed from there. My parents were totally clueless as to what was happening. Like, they knew I was losing weight, but they've never been very aware of situations, especially when it came to their children. So I lost a lot of weight. I got down to like 95 pounds. And honestly, if I can go back at that time, I can remember being sick a lot, meaning I would always get really bad migraines. I would throw up, and this was very, very often. I just didn't know that could have been me going through kidney failure. So that's what happened. I went to the doctor one day. I was a very bad acne sufferer, so I would constantly go to the doctor to get refills on a prescription for acne cream. And on this particular day, the nurse looked at her chart. She noticed I hadn't gotten any blood work done in like 2 years, and she just wanted to do a routine blood work for me. I was in biology class in high school when I got a voicemail from the doctor saying that my blood work came back at normal and that I needed to right away go and get a repeat test done and actually transfer to the local hospital, which I did do. They put me in an ambulance and transferred me to the local hospital, which there they couldn't determine what was wrong with my blood work, so they had to transfer me to a very famous and nationwide, it's like one of the top hospitals nationwide, Montefiore in Bronx, New York. They transferred me there, and I stayed there for a few days while they ran tests, and that's when they determined that I was going through kidney failure, and la 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 la. So that's where it determines at the end of the day that by the time they did a kidney biopsy on my original kidneys, they were so deteriorated that there was really no way that they couldn't figure out how it happened. I basically screwed myself up, which I think that's the issue. But then again, I also have a grandfather who was on dialysis for like 12 years and then committed suicide, but that's another story for another day. And so my mom right now, she is a diabetic. She's been diabetic for many, many years, and she's actually in stage 3 kidney disease. So that's going to be a bummer when it reaches the last stage. Anyway, that's my story. First kidney transplant came from my sister, my loving, amazing, beautiful sister, who took it upon herself to provide me with a portion of her very life. So 2005, I got my first kidney transplant. I was 19 years old, or almost 19. And so I was very grateful for it. And I guess at that time I thought I was really invincible. So the moments where I would miss my medication and realize that I missed it, I ignored it. I didn't choose to return back home to actually take them like I do now. Like if I'm out and I realize I didn't take my morning meds, I'm going to go back home. And whatever else is going on in life, whatever else I have to do, it's going to have to wait because I'm taking my medications. But at that time, I was still young and it was my first experience with this. I had done a ton of research online about it. I just wasn't taking it, I guess, as maturely as I should have. I just didn't realize it wasn't something I was doing to hurt myself intentionally. But 4 years later, my kidney was failing, my sister's kidney. And so the doctor called me telling me that he was pretty shocked that I hadn't passed out by this point. My blood work came back crazy. I was severely anemic. I think it was like the next day I had to go do my first round of dialysis. It was all just so sudden. They had to give me a blood transfusion, and I threw up instantly when all of this was happening. It was just like a really crazy experience. It was all just it was thrown at me without me realizing that, it was happening, basically. So I was on dialysis for a few months. I realized that I really screwed up big time. I went to church. I prayed in my journal. I prayed at nighttime. I told God that I did deserve it. I deserved kidney failure because I didn't take care of the kidney. I apologized to my sister. I felt terrible, although I didn't know how to really express it to her. It just was like devastating for me to be going through this. And so I remember there was this man. Okay, dialysis, you sit in a specific numbered chair. You go through your sessions. I was 6 to 9 in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And there was this old man who would always just come and say hi to me. He would just wave. Never had a conversation, nothing like that. I can just remember he just would always sit in his chair. But before sitting in his chair, he'd just wave at me with a beautiful smile. And, I would wave right back. That was it. Nothing serious about it. 3 or 4 months later, he wasn't there. I had found out that he was qualified for a kidney. I'm just not really sure if that was the real story. He was really old. So I will never really know. And a week after that, they transferred me to his chair. And I would say a few days after that, I was called for a kidney. I felt like he was my angel or something. It was just like meant to be. So I was called for a cadaver kidney, a deceased kidney, and I will make 9 years post this second transplant in September. It's just quite amazing how life works. Don't mind me getting slightly emotional. Obviously, I'm pregnant, but that was the situation there. It was like a miracle kidney, and they've called it a twin match. My sister's kidney was never a twin match. Honestly, with her kidney, like, trust me, I will never ever be ungrateful. It was an amazing 4 years I had with that kidney. I was able to go to college. I was able to, do a lot of things with my life, work, and have more energy in general, and, have a life. So with her kidney, I had high cholesterol, I had high blood pressure, I had anemia. I just had a lot of health problems. So generally, I was taking a lot of medication every day. Luckily enough, with this second transplant, they called it a twin match. And I have to say, it has to be a twin match because I'm only and ever have been on 2 medications. I'm not on prednisone like I was. My blood pressure is low all the time. So I've even been diagnosed with low blood pressure. So they just tell me, like, they'd rather not give me medication to raise it. So they just tell me to eat, things with salt in it. And I don't have anemia anymore. Let me tell you guys, it's so weird to not be freezing anymore. Like, I can remember I would need 80-degree weather or more for me to not be freezing, like Chihuahua dogs. That's how I was. I was always shivering with any little thing with my sister's kidney transplant. And now I'm like always hot. It's always so hot for me. I need like 70-degree weather to feel cooled off. So it's amazing. I have nothing wrong with me. No problems, nothing. Just low blood pressure, which who complains about having to indulge in a little bit of salt? Clearly not me. And you wouldn't either, trust me. Because when you have to deny yourself all that stuff and you finally can actually consume it, it's just amazing. So, and I was following the guidelines with dialysis. I was actually eating just white rice. I was putting my potatoes in water for like an hour so that all the starchiness and potassium can come out of it. I was eating eggs, things like that. And I wasn't drinking much water because with dialysis, you're not supposed to indulge in water. So you're always dehydrated. It was just crazy. And honestly, I have been so on top of this second transplant that I would be devastated if something were to happen to it. Now, on to a new story. My first pregnancy. I posted a few YouTube videos about it. There were minor things happening. My blood platelets got low at a certain extent in my kidney, in my pregnancy. The thing about blood platelets is that they help with blood clotting. So an example, if I were to give birth and I'm bleeding, when the blood platelets get low, you will just keep bleeding and there's no way to stop the blood. That's actually really dangerous. So they were low for a while, but I can remember that they raised up again after a while. I don't really know what they did to fix that or if I did anything to fix that. All I know is that they normalized themselves, the platelets, and so, everything went well with my first pregnancy. I had no symptoms. I mean, the only thing that happened was that I gained like 35 pounds. 35 pounds. And so this time around, I'm trying to do it a little better. I'm trying to exercise more. With my first, I didn't exercise at all. I kind of just stopped because, it's your first pregnancy. You don't really realize. You get paranoid about little things. You don't want to not that I was super paranoid, but I got lazy. I have a kid, so there's no way I can get lazy. She's 4, and she is excited about being a big sister, which is fantastic. Um, let's see. I don't take prednisone. I have to say that I'm in my second trimester. I'm 16 weeks pregnant. Your second trimester starts at 14 weeks. And for some reason, I'm so exhausted all the time. Like, nothing helps. I have to admit, though, that exercising does boost up the energy levels a little bit, so it does help. But then I'm just still so tired. And my legs just started hurting like last week. So a little too much walking hurts my legs, but I just deal with it. It's part of pregnancy. You're going to have leg pain because you get exhausted all over your body. I wrote some stuff down so that I don't forget what to talk about. Now, also, I have been living a vegetarian / pescatarian life since February of this year. This pregnancy was unexpected, so I did inquire about continuing this lifestyle that I'm living, and I was told that I can continue it as long as I'm maybe eating eggs, and I do eat eggs. I'm not vegan, so I'm not against. The reason why I became vegetarian is not because of the killing of animals. I've just never been a big meat person. An example, last year, this was me not living this kind of lifestyle yet. I was still eating meat every now and again. I've gone to Red Robin plenty of times, and all I ever get is a garden burger. So that pretty much tells you I'm not a meat person. Okay, let's see what else. I love it. I actually really enjoy living this kind of lifestyle. I feel like ever since I started in February, I've lost weight. Although not I've gained weight because I'm pregnant, but I don't feel bloated at all. I have to say, with my first pregnancy, I was always bloated. I always felt crappy about myself. This second time around, I don't really feel that way. I feel like being vegetarian helps a lot. I eat fish like once a week. I'm not really a big fan of it either, but I try to consume it maybe once or twice a week. Also, before the pregnancy, I was on 3 and 3 of tacrolimus. That was my usual for a while already. And now I'm up to 5 milligrams. See, my nephrologist told me that the placenta absorbs a lot of the tacrolimus, so it will get low. It's a normal thing to happen. So with that, I'll just have to keep increasing little by little if need be. So far, so good. I had an appointment on Wednesday of last week with the nephrologist, and he hasn't called me for anything, so everything is so far so good. I am seeing him, I would say, every 2 weeks for blood work and every 4 weeks to see him. So that's the deal with that. And as far as my OBGYN, he is not a high-risk OBGYN, but this OBGYN office does have a high-risk OBGYN that I will be seeing alongside the regular OBGYN. And it's been a good experience, I have to say. The first time around being pregnant, I was actually seeing a high-risk OBGYN, but she retired a few years back. And so I have not been able to find anybody who's high risk. And so I found this OBGYN. And as long as they have their own high-risk OBGYN in their office, I feel comfortable going to him. I see him once a month, although with my last OBGYN, I was seeing her every 2 weeks or once a month at some point too. It's not bad. The baby's doing really good. They already did that test to check for any Down syndrome abnormalities, and so far everything's good. And so tomorrow I have my 5th ultrasound, and they can probably determine the gender tomorrow, but we are going to plan a gender reveal. I already have somebody who volunteered to buy the cake, and so it's gonna be fun. I'll try to post a video here so you guys can see. We didn't do it with my first. We kind of just found out we were having a girl, and that was that. We didn't try to make it a surprise or anything. But I did have an amazing baby shower. It was such an amazing surprise. I knew it was happening. I knew what day and everything, but I didn't know how amazing it would be. And it was really a great experience. Um, this was a very unexpected pregnancy, and it was scary at first to find out that I was pregnant. I had a missed period, and I never get a missed period, so I just kind of knew. But as much as it's a scary thing, I don't want my kidney to fail. I think it's going to be good. So, oh, also, last thing, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but with this second transplant, I was on my Fortic and tacrolimus for years. But then when I got pregnant, the nephrologist switched me to azathioprine, and I've been on azathioprine ever since. They didn't switch me back or anything, and everything went well with my first. She had no problems. She still has no problems. She's super healthy. She's not allergic to anything. She can eat anything she wants. She's got her limbs, her arms, everything. She's totally perfect. I couldn't ask for anything more. And honestly, I personally know people who are unable to get pregnant as quick as I can. So at the end of the day, you know what? I have to count my blessings. God is good. God has been good to me for so many years at this point. With the stories I've just pulled out on you guys, I mean, I feel like I'm meant to be on this earth. So any other questions, please post it down below. I tried to really run through my entire life story here. And I'm hoping it's not too long for you guys, and that it's informative for any other females with a kidney transplant. You know, you just have to be positive. There's always a risk for even normal people. You know, my sister-in-law, she had complications with birth. Her daughter was in the NICU for like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. And my birth went so good and normal. So, you know what, when you really think about it, anybody can go through something. You know what I mean? I have a kidney transplant. She doesn't. And yet I'm the one who went through the whole normal everything. You know? So when you really think about it, it's all about taking care of you and making sure you're just following things. If you have health issues, make sure you follow what you have to do. And if you don't have health issues, then try to keep it that way. Don't make it worse for yourself. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Sorry for the emotional moments I had. I'm pregnant, so of course I'm going to get emotional. But all in all, I'm really, really, really just blessed to be here and to have gone through what I've gone through. I have no regrets whatsoever. None. It was meant for me. So, thank you.